call to Southgate Circle in South Toledo. Apparently there were two females who came out of their apartment and encountered this individual in the hallway, and he said something to them, and they responded, and he pulled out a gun and threatened them with the gun. They went back into their apartment, they called the police, he left the scene. One of the females was able to get a good description of the vehicle and a license plate number. Now, the license plate number that they provided to us was stolen. It was a stolen license plate out of Livonia, Michigan. Now, we have not confirmed yet if the vehicle that he was driving is stolen or not. But we know that the license plate that was on the vehicle at the time of the incident on Southgate Circle was reported stolen out of Livonia, Michigan. It was around 7:30 tonight. Lieutenant out of Scott Park District Station spotted the vehicle unoccupied at the Sleepy Hollow Park, which is near Dorr and Richards. Called for the assistance of another crew. At that time, the plate that was on the vehicle, when it was on Southgate Circle, was not on the vehicle. That plate was found later inside the vehicle, so it was definitely the same vehicle. And it's a dark blue Dodge Magnum, kind of a station wagon type minivan. You saw it out at the scene. I think I described it as a minivan earlier, but I think they're Dodge Magnum station wagon. They spotted the vehicle, called for assistance. When the crew got there, the guy actually came and got into the vehicle. I'm not sure where he came from. He didn't get that far. But he got into the vehicle. They tried to apprehend him there in the park, but he was able to flee out of the park onto Dorr Street and eastbound on Dorr at a high rate of speed. I can't tell you how fast they were going, but it was a very high-speed pursuit with lights and siren. When they got to Westwood, which I suspect is probably about maybe 3 miles from Sleepy Hollow Park, he rear-ended a vehicle that was stopped at the light at Westwood. That vehicle was driven by a woman. She wasn't seriously hurt, but she was hurt enough that she was taken to the hospital. That vehicle was pushed into another vehicle occupied by a male who had very minor injuries and did not go to the hospital. I think at the scene I told you they both went to the hospital, but that was not accurate. Just the woman went to the hospital. The officers, obviously, their focus of the attention at that point was the man in the Dodge Magnum. That vehicle went through the intersection after colliding with the other vehicle and slid up onto the, I guess it would be the northeast corner, up over the curb, up next to a pole. And when they approached the driver's side door, one of the officers pulled open the door in an attempt to extract the suspect to effect an arrest. At that point, the suspect reached over, grabbed a gun, pointed the gun at the officer, pulled the trigger. The gun did not fire. Apparently he did not have one in the chamber, because then he chambered around, then he fired. By this time, the officer, fortunately, was able to evade the fire and get out of the way. And the other officers that were there returned fire. The suspect got out of the vehicle and fled in a northeasterly direction through a field across the tracks, which sit right behind that particular location. And there was another exchange of gunfire between officers and the suspect. The suspect fell to the ground with the gun in his hand, and at that point he was apprehended. He was shot several times. I can't tell you how many times he was shot, but he was shot several times. They called for medical assistance. He was taken to Toledo Hospital by Life Squad, where he died a short time later. At this point, we have not confirmed the identity of the suspect. We believe him to be a 21-year-old male out of Detroit, Michigan, but we have not confirmed that as of yet. We will probably do that before tomorrow morning. We are not releasing the names of the officers tonight. I will release those names tomorrow morning, give those officers time to notify other family members. There were a total of 3 officers that fired their weapons. The officer that actually opened the door and was the initial victim, looking down the barrel of that gun, did not fire his weapon, but there were 3 other officers that did, including the lieutenant from Scott Park who found the vehicle. At this point, it certainly appears to be a justifiable shooting. All indications are that these officers acted in self-defense. They did an admirable job. Very, very lucky that no police officer was shot out there or injured. Very, very lucky. If that individual had a round chambered when he pulled that trigger initially, probably would be looking at an officer shot right now. So we're very fortunate that that did not happen. The incident will be reviewed by the Firearms Review Board. We've called in a number of detectives to interview witnesses. There were a lot of witnesses out there, not only to the accident, but to the shooting. And those witnesses were very cooperative. Most of them are down here right now giving statements to detectives. The officers are here. They will be placed on administrative leave, which is the normal course of action in these types of situations. And we'll go from there. Questions?
Standard procedure, Firearms Review Board, Internal Affairs, look into this?
Yes.
It happens anytime.
Yes.
How does fire?
Internal Affairs responds to the scene, and they start their initial investigation immediately.
Chief, are there any other guns in the car?
I can't answer that. I know the gun that was in his hand and fired was recovered in the field where he fell. It was a 9mm Ruger weapon. I can't tell you how many times it was fired. I know one of the police cars was struck at least once by the suspect's bullets.
Mm-hmm. And this was an open gunfire situation. We all were there at the scene. We know what it kind of looks like, highly trafficked, especially foot traffic. Is this something where innocent bystanders could have been put at risk?
Yes, absolutely. I think certainly that's something that officers have to take into consideration when they fire. But as it was, the direction that the suspect was firing was toward the intersection. The officers were firing toward an open field, so I don't believe that the firing by the officers put anyone at risk. And there's no indication that there were any witnesses or vehicular traffic in the line of the officer's fire, although there was traffic in the line of the suspect's fire.
Can you tell us anything more about the discussion the suspect had with the 2 women at the apartment complex?
Not at this time, I can't. I just know that he was not known to them. I believe he was there visiting someone else in this apartment, and they came out of their apartment, and there was an exchange of words between him and them, and that's when he pulled out the gun and threatened them.
So we're looking at a 21-year-old black male, possibly from the Detroit area.
That has not been confirmed, but we believe that's who it is, yes.
But the plates are from Livonia.
The plate was reported stolen out of Livonia, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit.
Okay.
Thanks,
Can
Chief.
you say where on his body was the suspect shot?
I don't know the answer to that. I know he was shot multiple times. I believe he was shot once in the leg, once in the arm, and I believe at least twice in the chest is what I was told initially, but that has not been confirmed.
What was the name of the apartment complex where he confronted the 2 women?
It's out there on Southgate Circle, 400 block of Southgate Circle. I don't know the apartment complex.
What's that near?
That runs off of
South
and West.
South and Wenz, yeah.
South of Winds,
Yeah,
okay.
it runs off of Wenz or South.
Okay.
They run off of both of them.
Okay.
How'd you know that?
Do you know
Thanks,
how many
Chief. Appreciate it.
rounds officers fired?
We're not releasing that
Don't know? Okay.
right now, because we want to be certain of all the facts. We'll release all that tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Officers
Thank you.
fired multiple times.
Anybody have the time?